You were not born to be a mirror of someone else's expectations. Let me say that again, because I need you to hear it with your spirit, not just your ears. You were not born to be a mirror of someone else's expectations. Yet here you are, exhausted, running in circles, trying to prove your worth to people who will never be satisfied. You're spending your life force, your energy, your precious years chasing the approval of crowds who don't even know your name. And the tragedy is not that you're failing to impress them. The tragedy is that while you're busy performing for strangers, your true assignment is dying in your hands. I want to talk to you today about the most dangerous addiction on earth. It's not drugs. It's not alcohol. It's the addiction to human approval. It's the addiction to applause. It's the addiction to validation from people who are just as lost as you are. This addiction will kill your dreams faster than any external enemy ever could, because the enemy of your destiny is not always outside you. Sometimes the enemy is the version of you that needs everyone to like you. Listen to me carefully. The moment you understand that you were not created by people, you will stop seeking permission from people. The moment you understand that your purpose was assigned before you took your first breath, you will stop explaining yourself to those who were never meant to understand you. You are not a product of human opinion. You are a product of divine intention. And divine intention does not require a committee vote. But we live in a generation that is dying from comparison. Everybody is looking at everybody else, measuring their life by someone else's highlight reel. You see someone's success on social media, and suddenly your own progress feels meaningless. You hear about someone's promotion, and your own job feels like a prison. You watch someone's wedding, and your own relationship feels inadequate. And you know what happens? You start adjusting your life to fit their narrative. You start making decisions based on how it will look, not on whether it aligns with who you truly are. Let me tell you something that will set you free if you let it. The people you're trying to impress are trying to impress other people. The people you're trying to please are trying to please other people. It's a pyramid scheme of validation. And nobody at the top is actually happy. They're just better at hiding their emptiness. So you're killing yourself to reach a level of performance that doesn't even satisfy the people who are already there. Does that make sense to you? You're racing toward a finish line that keeps moving because the race itself is a lie. I've watched people destroy their health trying to build a reputation. I've watched people abandon their families trying to maintain an image. I've watched people betray their own values trying to fit into circles that never truly wanted them in the first place. And you want to know the sad part? When those same people finally achieve the recognition they were chasing, they realize it feels hollow. Because anything you have to pretend to get, you have to pretend to keep. And you cannot build a real life on a fake foundation. Here's a truth that will make you uncomfortable. Every time you twist yourself into a shape that is not yours, you are committing an act of violence against your own soul. Every time you silence your truth to keep the peace with people who don't value you, you are choosing their comfort over your calling. Every time you downplay your gift to make others feel less threatened, you are partnering with the very force that wants to keep you small. And small is not where you were designed to live. You see, a lion does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Not because the lion is arrogant, but because the lion understands its nature. A lion does not apologize for its roar. It does not dim its strength to make weaker animals comfortable. It simply is what it was created to be. And the moment it starts behaving like a sheep to gain acceptance from the flock, it has betrayed its identity. You are not a sheep. Stop bleating. Stop following. Stop seeking safety in the herd. You were made to roar. But roaring requires that you know who you are, and most people don't. Most people are walking around with someone else's script, someone else's dream, someone else's definition of success. They never stop to ask, what was I actually sent here to do? They never pause long enough to hear the still small voice inside them that whispers, this is not your path. because that voice is often drowned out by the loud voices of culture, family, religion, and society, all screaming at you about who you should be. Let me tell you about purpose. Purpose is not what you choose. Purpose is what you discover. It was placed in you before you had the language to name it, before you had the courage to claim it, before you had the wisdom to walk in it. Your purpose is not up for debate. It's not dependent on your education, your background, or your current circumstances. It is embedded in the fabric of your being, waiting for you to stop performing and start being. And here's what I need you to understand. Your purpose will never make sense to everyone. In fact, if everyone agrees with your calling, you should check your calling, because true purpose is often misunderstood by the masses. It was misunderstood for every pioneer, every revolutionary, every person who dared to live beyond the limits of conventional thinking. Noah building an ark looked insane until the rain came. David facing a giant looked foolish until the giant fell. The Wright brothers believing humans could fly looked delusional until they flew. Your assignment will always look crazy to people who are not assigned to understand it. So why are you giving those people veto power over your life? Why are you allowing someone who doesn't have your vision to edit your story? Why are you shrinking your dreams to fit their imagination? Their confusion is not your crisis. Their fear is not your compass. Their limitations are not your boundaries. You need to hear this. Not everyone is supposed to celebrate you. Not everyone is supposed to support you. Not everyone is supposed to understand you. And that's okay, because you are not living for everyone. You are living for the one who created you and the assignment he gave you. Now let's get practical, because inspiration without application is just entertainment. How do you break free from this prison of people pleasing? How do you step into the version of yourself that is no longer controlled by applause or criticism? It starts with a decision. A decision that you make once but enforce every single day. The decision is this: I will no longer sacrifice my peace for other people's approval. That means you stop explaining your decisions to people who don't have to live with the consequences. That means you stop defending your boundaries to people who benefit from you having none. That means you stop apologizing for taking up space in rooms where you were invited to shine. That means you give yourself permission to disappoint people who had the wrong expectations of you in the first place. Because let me tell you something powerful. Disappointment is just the gap between expectation and reality. And if their expectation of you was that you would remain small, then disappointing them is actually your breakthrough. I've learned something in my years on this earth. The same mouth that praises you today will criticize you tomorrow. The same crowd that celebrates you in your victory will abandon you in your valley. The same people who cheer for you when you're doing what they want will turn on you the moment you start walking in your truth. So if your joy is tied to their approval, your joy will be as unstable as their moods. But if your joy is rooted in knowing who you are and whose you are, no amount of criticism can shake you, and no amount of praise can inflate you. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a tree, a strong, deeply rooted tree. In the summer, people come and sit under its shade. They enjoy its fruit. They take pictures with it. They talk about how beautiful it is. But when winter comes, when the leaves fall and the branches are bare, those same people walk past it without a second glance. Some even complain that it's ugly now. But does the tree stop being a tree because it's no longer convenient for them? Does it apologize for its season? No. It simply remains rooted, trusting that spring will come again. And when spring comes, it doesn't bloom for the people who abandon it in winter. It blooms because blooming is its nature. You are that tree, and you have been living like you need permission to bloom. You have been waiting for validation before you step into your season. You have been apologizing for your winter, ashamed that you're not producing fruit year-round for people who only show up when it benefits them. Stop it. Your worth is not seasonal. Your value is not determined by who's watching. You are not here to be useful to everyone. You are here to be faithful to your assignment. And your assignment requires something that people-pleasing will never give you. It requires authenticity. You cannot walk in purpose while wearing a mask. You cannot fulfill your calling while pretending to be someone else, because your gift is tied to your identity, and your identity is not negotiable. The world does not need another version of someone who already exists. The world needs the original version of you, the unedited, unapologetic, untamed version of you. The version that got buried under years of criticism, rejection, and the pressure to conform. I know that version is still in there. I know, because you wouldn't be listening to these words if you were completely satisfied with the life you've been living. Something in you knows there's more. Something in you is tired of pretending. Something in you is ready to stop performing and start living. And that something is your spirit crying out for liberation. It's tired of being in a cage built by other people's opinions. It wants out. And the key to that cage is in your hand. It's called courage. The courage to be disliked, the courage to be misunderstood, the courage to walk alone if necessary. Because here's the reality. The path to purpose is often a lonely path. Not because you're antisocial, but because you're moving at a frequency that most people are not ready for. You're seeing what they cannot see. You're hearing what they cannot hear. You're pursuing what they cannot comprehend. And instead of slowing down to make them comfortable, you have to trust that the right people will catch up, or they won't. And both outcomes have to be okay with you. Let me tell you what happens when you finally decide to live for an audience of one. When you finally decide that the only approval that matters is the approval of the one who gave you breath. Everything changes. The pressure lifts, the anxiety fades, the comparison stops, because you're no longer competing with anyone. You're no longer measuring your life against someone else's timeline. You're simply stewarding the gift you've been given, in the time you've been given, with the people you've been given. And that is enough. More than enough. It is everything. But I'll be honest with you, the transition from people pleasing to purpose living is not comfortable. It will cost you relationships. It will cost you opportunities. It will cost you the version of yourself that everyone got used to. People will accuse you of changing, and they're right. You are changing. You're changing from a counterfeit to the original. You're changing from a slave to a free person. You're changing from an actor to an authentic human being. And if they don't like that version of you, it simply means they were in love with your cage, not your freedom. Let them go. Your freedom is more valuable than their comfort. Now, let's address the fear. Because I know some of you are afraid. You're afraid that if you stop trying to impress people, you'll be alone. You're afraid that if you stop performing, you'll be forgotten. You're afraid that if you start living your truth, you'll be rejected. And I'm not going to lie to you and say those fears are baseless. Some of those things might happen. But let me ask you this. Is it better to be surrounded by people who love a fake version of you, or to be alone with the real you? Is it better to be celebrated for who you're pretending to be, or to be at peace with who you actually are? Is it better to have a crowd that doesn't know you, or a few people who truly do? You see, when you live authentically, you attract authentic relationships. When you stop pretending, you stop attracting pretenders. When you show up as your real self, the people who are meant for you will recognize you. They won't need you to audition. They won't need you to prove your worth. They will simply see you and say, there you are. I've been looking for you. And those relationships, the ones built on truth rather than performance, those are the ones that will sustain you. Those are the ones that will celebrate your growth instead of resenting it. Those are the ones that will stick around in winter because they're not just there for your fruit. Here's another truth. You cannot impress your way into your destiny. Your destiny is not a job interview. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a performance review. Your destiny is an assignment that was given to you, not earned by you. And the moment you try to impress your way into it, you disqualify yourself, because purpose requires humility, not pride. It requires obedience, not applause. It requires faithfulness, not fame. And the person who is busy impressing others is too distracted to hear the instructions for their assignment. Think about it. When a manufacturer creates a product, does the product get to decide what it's for? Does the chair say, I don't want to be sat on, I want to be admired? Does the pen say, I don't want to write, I want to be displayed. No, the product fulfills the purpose for which it was made. And in that fulfillment, it finds its highest expression. You are not self-made. You are created. And your Creator had a specific intention when He formed you. Your job is not to impress Him with your performance. Your job is to discover what He made you for and do it with everything you have. But we've gotten distracted. We've been taught that success is about building a brand, creating an image, maintaining a reputation. And while there's nothing wrong with excellence, there's everything wrong with pretense. Because when your focus is on looking good rather than doing good, you've missed the point entirely. When your energy is spent managing perception rather than walking in purpose, you're building a house on sand. It might look impressive for a season, but when the storms come, and they will come, it will collapse because it was never built on truth. Let me tell you about a seed. When a seed is planted in the ground, it doesn't try to impress the soil. It doesn't try to get applause from the earthworms. It doesn't check to see if the other seeds approve of its growth rate. It simply does what seeds do. It breaks. It dies to its old form. It pushes through the darkness. It reaches toward the light, and eventually it becomes a tree. Not because it was trying to be impressive, but because it was being obedient to its design. Your life is the same. You don't need to impress anyone. You need to break through the soil of public opinion, die to the version of yourself that was built to please others, and push toward the light of your true calling. And when you become what you were meant to be, you won't need to announce it. Your fruit will speak for itself. Now, I want to speak to those of you who have already wasted years trying to impress others. You feel like you've lost time. You feel like you've missed your moment. You feel like it's too late to start over. Let me tell you something. It is never too late to become who you were meant to be. The fact that you're still breathing means your assignment is still active. The fact that you're still here means there's still time. Yes, you wasted years. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you gave your energy to the wrong things. But regret is not your residence. It's just a place you visit to learn, and then you leave. You don't set up camp in your past. You extract the lesson, and you move forward. And here's the beautiful thing about truth. The moment you start living it, it starts restoring what was lost. The moment you align with your purpose, you begin to redeem the time. Not because you can go back and change what you did, but because you can go forward and maximize what you have left. There are people waiting for the real you. There are problems that only you can solve. There are doors that only your specific gift can open. And they're not waiting for the impressive version of you. They're waiting for the authentic version of you. The version that has scars and stories. The version that has failed and learned. The version that stopped pretending and started being. Let me give you a principle that will change your life. The enemy of great is not bad. The enemy of great is good. The enemy of your purpose is not failure. The enemy of your purpose is distraction. And the biggest distraction in your life is trying to impress people who don't even know your name. You're giving your best energy to people who will forget you the moment you stop entertaining them. Meanwhile, the people who need your gift, the people who are assigned to you, the people who will celebrate the real you, you're ignoring them because you're too busy chasing the approval of strangers. Stop. Just stop. Stop checking how many likes you got. Stop comparing your life to people who are only showing you their edited version. Stop trying to keep up with people who are running someone else's race. Stop performing for an audience that will never be satisfied. Stop, breathe, and ask yourself this question. If no one was watching, what would I do? If I didn't have to impress anyone, who would I become? If I wasn't afraid of judgment, what would I create? The answer to those questions is your assignment. That's your purpose. That's your destiny. And it's waiting for you to get out of your own way. I've met so many talented people who never fulfilled their potential because they were waiting for permission. They were waiting for someone to validate their dream. They were waiting for the right moment when everyone would understand. And you know what happened? They waited their whole life. They died with their gifts still inside them. They died with their songs still unsung. They died with their books still unwritten. They died with their business still just an idea. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they couldn't do it without applause. And since the applause never came, neither did the action. Don't let that be your story. Don't die with your gift trapped inside you because you were afraid of what people would say. Don't take your potential to the grave because you were waiting for validation from people who don't even believe in themselves. Don't waste the rest of your life trying to impress people who won't even be at your funeral. Because here's a sobering truth. When you die, people will mourn for a moment, post a tribute on social media, and then go back to their own lives. Your death will not stop the world from turning, but your life, your authentic life, could have changed someone's world forever. The question is, will you live it? I want to close with this. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not here to fill space or pass time. You are here on assignment. You were sent to this earth with a specific purpose that only you can fulfill. Not a purpose that looks like someone else's. Not a purpose that requires you to be someone you're not. Your purpose, your assignment, your reason for being. And the moment you stop trying to impress others and start walking in that purpose, your life will shift. Doors will open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities will find you. The right people will be drawn to you. Not because you became impressive, but because you became authentic. There is a generation waiting for you to wake up. There are people who will never reach their potential because you're too busy performing instead of leading. There are solutions to problems that will never be found because you're hiding your gift to make others comfortable. There are doors that will remain locked because you're too afraid to use the key you've been given. And all of this, all of it is happening because you're more concerned with what people think than what you were created to do. So let me leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, make a decision to live for an audience of one. Make decisions based on your calling, not on what will get applause. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Say no to things that drain you, even if people are disappointed. Say yes to things that align with your purpose, even if no one understands. Stop explaining, stop defending, stop shrinking. Just be. Be who you were created to be. Be brave enough to be disliked. Be strong enough to stand alone. Be wise enough to know that your worth is not up for debate. You were not born to waste your life trying to impress others. You were born to fulfill an assignment that the world desperately needs, an assignment that requires all of you. The good, the flawed, the scarred, the healed, the broken, the restored, all of it. Because your mess is part of your message. Your pain is part of your purpose. Your struggle is part of your story. And when you finally embrace all of who you are, without apology and without pretense, you will step into a dimension of living that most people never experience. A dimension where you're not performing, you're flowing. Where you're not pretending, you're becoming. Where you're not impressing, you're impacting. That's the life waiting for you. Not a life of perfection, but a life of purpose. Not a life of applause, but a life of peace. Not a life of performance, but a life of power. The power to be exactly who you were created to be without needing anyone's permission. That is freedom. That is fulfillment. That is the life you were meant to live. So stop wasting your time trying to impress others. Start investing your time becoming who you were born to be. Because the world doesn't need another copy. The world needs the original you. And it's time for you to show up.